So I was gonna let this video go. I had a lot on my plate over the last couple of weeks. I hit 100K. I was in Kenosha, Wisconsin for the Better Discourse 2 event. I had wild Canadians visiting New York City that needed to be shown around. And Devin Tracy actually did a video over on Censored covering this exact video, and I knew that we were gonna hit really similar territory in our analysis. But I realized something over these past couple of weeks. I can't, I can't, I cannot let this video go. It is so awful, so disingenuous, so disgusting that it's been in the back of my mind this entire time. And now you guys out there in the audience must see this video. You must feel the outrage bubbling up within me in my video response to TYT discussing the Adam Toledo case. And it is absolutely everything about this video that gets on my nerves. The title of the video, the thumbnail of the video that shows this kid with his hands up, the idea that it says murder multiple times across this video despite the fact that this is not a murder, and every single way that it is presented throughout the course of it. So without further ado, you guys must go on this journey with me and let's get into it.
Officials in Chicago have released the fatal police shooting of a 13-year-old named Adam Toledo. He is now, this video was something that was being withheld from the public, but the mayor of Chicago says that she demanded its release. We are not going to show the video because it features a minor getting shot and killed. But more importantly, activists on the ground have asked people to avoid posting it on social media.
So first off, I understand not showing the video. It does show a minor getting killed, and throughout the course of my video, I will not show that fatal moment, partially because of YouTube terms of service, and partially because it doesn't really show us anything that we need to know because all the important information happens before the shooting and is captured on video. So that's what I'm going to show you. So I can understand this even from the Young Turks and give them the benefit of the doubt in that they're not showing the video, except for the fact that the thumbnail of this video is this kid with his hands up, that one still, and they will show that throughout the video without referencing any other stills. Also, the idea that activists don't want this video shown, who cares? If activists didn't want something shown, but it was really important and actually brought up knowledge related to the case that we're talking about, then it doesn't matter what their opinion is. What matters is getting the most amount of factual information out the quickest so you can prevent narratives like the one being spread by the Young Turks.
So this police shooting happened at 2 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning on March 29th. And the allegation here is that Adam Toledo, the 13-year-old, was with another male who allegedly had fired his weapon, not at anything in particular that we know about right now. We still don't have enough details about the story, so I wanna kind of warn you guys about that.
So first of all, this is really important to take note of, and this is a technique that a lot of people do who are incredibly deceptive. When there's information out that is clear as day, that proves their narrative false, all of that information becomes alleged, or maybe we don't know, we're waiting for more details, we're not really sure, we don't know what happened, etc., etc. Let me make this 100% clear. We know for a fact that Adam was with a 20-year-old. We know for a fact that this 20-year-old fired a gun at a moving vehicle 8 different times. The reason that we know that is that along with the body cam footage that Ana Kasparian is reporting on, the Chicago police released a timeline that included surveillance video of that gun being fired. I'm going to play that for you right now so that you can see it for yourself and hear the gunshots for yourself.
But authorities were called. At that point, the cops opened fire and killed Adam Toledo, again, a 13-year-old, because they believed that he was armed. Now, Adam Toledo, 13, was shot by the police last month in Little Village, specifically a predominantly Latino neighborhood on the city's west side. According to law enforcement authorities, Adam was running down the alley with a gun in his hand and ignored an officer's command to stop and drop the gun.
Again, notice the shifts in how Ana Kasparian is delivering this information. We don't know, there was allegedly some gunshots fired. Maybe Adam was with this 20-year-old, maybe not, who knows, even though it's on video, clear cut as day. But what we do need to focus on are the facts that the cop definitely shot this person, and it was definitely in a predominantly Latino neighborhood. If you can't figure out where this is going, the fact that it's a predominantly Latino neighborhood should give you a hint that they're going to attempt to racialize this situation.
So point number one that I want to bring up right off the bat, he's running away, okay? Whether they believed he was armed or not, he's running away, which means by the very nature of the incident, he is not posing an imminent risk or threat to the authorities. He's running away. That's an important part of the story.
Again, notice the language patterns that Ana is using when describing Toledo's actions and ways that she thinks benefits her side of this argument. He's running away, therefore he's definitely not a threat to anybody. By the way, he's at 2:30 in the morning, there were already shots fired, he's running away with a gun, and you can always stop running away with a gun and then fire on an officer. That can happen all the time. Also, notice that Ana Kasparian did not give this credibility of somebody running away trying to flee an altercation to Kyle Rittenhouse, who is out in a neighborhood in a community where he worked in, cleaning graffiti and putting out dumpster fires before he was attacked by Black Lives Matter rioters. All of a sudden, Kyle Rittenhouse is running away in that scenario doesn't matter at all, because he went there looking for a fight. But this kid who's out with another guy that's 20 years old, possible gang affiliations, firing a gun 8 times at a car, he's running away at 2:30 in the morning in the dark. Obviously no problem, no big deal whatsoever. He's not presenting a threat, no way, not at all.
The other part of the story that's important to keep in mind is that, first of all, Mayor Lori Lightfoot says, I see no evidence whatsoever that Adam shot at the police. So we have not seen any evidence of that. In fact, if you look at this screenshot from the video, you see him with his hands up.
So again, we're cherry picking a line from Lori Lightfoot, the mayor of Chicago's statement, where she says there's no evidence that he fired at the police. Was that in response to a question? Was that a part of a larger statement? Who knows? Anna's not going to tell you. But the cops never alleged that Adam fired at the police, not once. So why is this highlighted along with this screenshot?
You see him with his hands up right before the police opened fire. Now, I reviewed the video, unfortunately, and it does appear at one point, right before he turns around and raises his arms, that he drops something, and that could have been the weapon. I don't know for sure, and I want to be clear about that.
This is what's been making my blood boil for the past 3 weeks. Ana shows the screenshot of this kid with his hands up. She says she reviewed the video and maybe, I don't know, I'm not sure, there might have been a split second before he had his hands up, him with the weapon in his hand, and maybe, possibly, I don't know, that could have been anything. It probably was the gun. I mean, we have clear surveillance video showing that it was the gun, and if Ana showed you this still from right before he had his hands up, you can see that. If you watch the video, you can actually see him trying to stealthily draw the gun so he can drop it, which would lead any officer in that scenario to assume that it's just as likely, if not more likely, that this gun that was fired that night at 2:30 in the morning might be pointed at them in the 800 tenths of a second between the drop and the hands up. Maybe that could be included in the video, but Ana doesn't know. Maybe it was a weapon, maybe it was something else. Maybe he had a soda can. Maybe he was drinking Sody Pop. That's what Ana wants you to know. Even though, again, we have the body cam footage and we have angles after the shooting of what was dropped where you can track the object and you can clearly see it's a gun. But Ana Kasparian, all of a sudden, again, I don't know, oh, who knows? You can see clearly, hands up, hands up. Remember Michael Brown who had his hands up? Yeah, you can see that clearly, but she doesn't know. She doesn't know. She reviewed the tape, but she's just not sure. Ana can't figure it out. Ana can't see what's going on. She reviewed the surveillance, so trust her. Trust her. Don't watch the video. Activists told you not to learn the information from yourself. Get it from Ana Kasparian.
That he dropped something, and that could have been the weapon. I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure, and I want to be clear about that. But even so, you can see clearly in this screenshot that he's turned around with his hands up, and the authorities, the cops, shot and killed him anyway.
You hear that? They shot and killed him anyway. The cop had clear time to decide that this kid had his hands up, and he said, you know what, 13-year-old kid, I'm gonna get you. The racist, evil, anti-Latin cop, he just did that. That's how Ana Kasparian is presenting this story. Again, it is less than a second between Adam drawing the gun from his side in a way to hide the gun, to conceal the draw, the drop, and his hands going in the air. The cop had a split second to react, and Ana Kasparian is freezing this still as if the cop stumbled upon this kid with his hands in the air. That's how she's presenting this information. That's what she's trying to communicate to her audience, when one frame before this will show you that the gun was in hand and it was in a situation where you could assume if you were an officer, it was being drawn to use on you. Remember, this gun was fired 8 times, not allegedly fired 8 times, but fired 8 times, caught on surveillance video just before this. That's why the police were brought out there, because they had the shot camera or the shot detector that pinged the location, and that's what the officers were following up on. Now, I understand feeling bad about the age of the person who died in this scenario. 100% I get that. But the blame should be shifted on the 20-year-old who handed this kid the gun and told him don't get caught with the gun, which led him to draw it and drop it in that scenario in such a way that the cop could have interpreted this as a threat to his life. The shooting is tragic, of course. Anytime somebody dies at the hands of the police, it is tragic. Anytime somebody gets killed on any of these violent instances, it is tragic, especially because of the young age of the kid. But that being said, it was completely understandable and justified in this scenario. You can't expect the cop in less than a second to determine at 2:30 in the morning whether or not this kid who drew the gun on him was going to drop it or just shift quickly and put his hands up. It's a bad move, and it ended up costing this kid his life.
Yeah. So, two standard huge problems here in America. One is because of our lax gun laws, everybody has guns. There's nonstop shootings in Chicago. And I don't want to hear from right wingers who are like, oh no, Chicago's a magical bubble where they can't get guns from other parts of Illinois or Indiana or any nearby state with incredible ease. So people are shooting each other, they're shooting at cops are shooting at them. And no one ever does anything about it.
So we just had a false narrative put forward upon us by the Young Turks, where Ana pretended that all these things that we know for certain are somehow ambiguous or in the wind, despite the fact that they're caught on surveillance video. And now Cenk is vomiting up nonsense about gun control and how we can't say Chicago's gun control, which is really strict, has impact on what's going on in Chicago, and that means it's not going to count because there's less gun control in other places. Cenk, show me the scenario where a 13-year-old can legally buy a pistol in the United States of America. Let me know where that is legal in any state in the union under federal background checks law. Just let me know how that works, because you don't know what you're talking about. This kid got this gun from a 20-year-old, which is illegal in every scenario and double illegal in Chicago because they have really strict gun control in that city. So this point is completely irrelevant, and now Cenk is going to pivot to racism against black people.
Now, if you go turn on Fox News, you'll see them complaining about black people all the time. Do they ever do a constructive solution for how to have less violence in Chicago or anywhere else? No, they just got black culture, black dads are not there, black people are at fault. So no, your racism is not a solution, okay?
What the hell are we even talking about right now? The story was a 13-year-old who is Latin American, not black, was shot by the police, and Cenk is ranting and raving about black people being killed by the police and somehow trying to connect this back to gun control and this instance. Cenk, what are you doing? Are you not paying attention? I understand the compulsion to not listen when Ana Kasparian is talking, but you should really pay attention to the story, at least a little bit, if you're going to cut in with your commentary.
And then when cops shoot black people, what does Fox News and the right wing always say? Oh no, cops are always innocent. Do you know that more Republicans now believe Chauvin is innocent as opposed to guilty? They watch them murder a man with their own eyes, and they're like, I don't see the problem. They're Republicans. They're like, oh, a white cop killed a black guy who, in that case, was unarmed, and I saw him do it. I'm here for it. That's who Republican voters are. So they got no solutions.
Again, in case you think I might be cutting in Cenk Uygur from a completely different video, this is from the video where we're supposed to be talking about the 13-year-old Hispanic kid shot by the police. Cenk has gone to gun control, even though that doesn't really work for him because Chicago has one of the most strict gun control laws in the entire country. And we're talking about a 13-year-old who is possessing a gun, which is illegal across the country. And now we're talking about how Republicans are bad, despite the fact that, again, this happened in Chicago, a city run by Democrats for decades. And now we're talking about how Republicans are evil because half of them believe that Chauvin should have been found not guilty, likely because they have more information about the case than the left, who are still talking about the video, likely because they read the autopsy, they know about the fentanyl levels, likely because they saw the body cam footage and heard George Floyd before the knee was put on his neck complaining about his inability to breathe, likely because they heard about the pill that was spit up in the back of the squad car with Floyd's saliva on it.
And then, progressives in Congress, I mean, we're every once in a while they'll say something. Do they ever do anything? In order to do something, you would have to hold your own accountable, because I got news for you. Trump's not president anymore. Joe Biden is. What did Joe Biden propose? Ghost guns. We'll get rid of ghost guns.
Cenk's trying to garble all these narratives together in a story that has nothing to do with black people, nor Republicans, nor Republican governance, to talk about how the Republicans are racist because this kid had a gun less than a second before he was shot by the police. Okay.
So in terms of police shootings, Rashida Tlaib, bless her heart, says let's get, I forget her exact quote about basically getting rid of the police. And then everybody goes, oh my God, no, police. And then it forces everybody to go, not me, but makes everybody in media, makes Biden, et cetera, all of them go out of their way to kiss cops' asses and go, no, we will never get rid of the police. We will fund them even more, right?
Yeah, Rashida Tlaib is a buffoon. The idea that she would suggest as a solution to crime, getting rid of the police, as the Capitol is completely militarized after one event on January 6th, where the only person who was killed by anybody was a woman who is a conservative being shot by the police, is absolutely ridiculous and absurd on every level, and she should be shamed from that, and everyone with intelligence should back away from her. And I'm not surprised that Cenk Uygur's like, I didn't back away from her, I'm in for that, because Cenk is also a buffoon.
Look, can we focus?
Sometimes I watch a video on the internet.com and I know I'm going to make a reaction to it, and while I'm watching it, I have a pause moment where I'm like, this can't be real. Cenk Uygur just said, can we just focus, as he's all over the place, talking about black people getting killed by the police, talking about gun control, talking about Republicans being bad because George Floyd, blah, 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 blah. And he's demanding that you focus on the issue at hand, that you don't get distracted by all these things that are not related in a video where he's presented nothing but distractions with things that are completely unrelated. How is this real? How am I supposed to react to this? How am I supposed to deal with this? And does Cenk actually notice what he's doing?
Look, can we focus? Can we pass anything? Can we pass anything in this Congress? So we got black people being shot nonstop. And by the way, poor white people too. And you think they're not, because we train the cops, kill. Don't take any chances with your life. If they're running away from you, who cares? If they're surrendered, who cares? If they're on the ground and they can't breathe, who cares? Just kill, because you don't want to take any chances with your life.
Again, after he calls out for us to focus, he talks about black people being killed by the police, and then he throws in poor white people being killed by the police, when the focus of this story, for the millionth time, is a Hispanic person, a child, with a gun that pulled out the gun less than a second before he was shot by the police. What are you even talking about, Cenk? And now he's talking about how the police are trained to kill. Just ginning up that anti-cop hysteria, lying about this case, trying to make his audience angry, even though this has led to disastrous outcomes before. And we covered those outcomes on this channel before.
Can we fix that? Can we do a constructive solution to fix that? Here's the constructive solutions coming out of Congress. Zero. Republicans don't want to fix it. They enjoy what's happening.
Well, thank you, Cenk, for that completely worthless commentary that has nothing to do with what we're talking about here. Be sure to grab a snack and take a nap and come back for the next segment.
So the other person that Toledo was with was a 21-year-old male. He was the one who allegedly fired shots. And the prosecution that's currently prosecuting him is making some pretty interesting mistakes in court. So this is based on a local news outlet investigating this case. And apparently during a bond hearing for 21-year-old Ruben Roman, who was with Adam the night of the shooting, Cook County Assistant State's Attorney James Murphy described the altercation by saying that the officer tells Toledo to drop it as Toledo turns toward the officer. Toledo has a gun in his right hand. But it looks as though the prosecutor's office is kind of reneging, or not reneging, but taking that back, or at least walking it back by saying, by now, in response to a WGN Investigates inquiry, the state's attorney's office says that detail about Adam having a gun in his hand the moment that he was shot was inaccurate. An attorney who works in this office failed to fully inform himself before speaking in court.
So this is what I'm talking about with Ana Kasparian, and why, again, I had to make this response video. She spends the whole beginning of the video casting doubt about what we know in reality. She talks about how allegedly, maybe, who knows, I can't tell. I mean, it's on video and you can see it clearly. There were some gunshots being fired. And maybe Adam had the gun in his hand right before he was shot. So she casts doubt on that, and she says she watched the video and she can't even tell if that is even a gun, even though you can see it's a gun clearly and obviously, because Ana Kasparian is lying to you. And then she zeroes in on this correction, which, by the way, doesn't even seem like the original statement was inaccurate in the slightest. Toledo did have the gun in his right hand before being shot by the officer. He just dropped it, and if the statement was he had the gun in his right hand while he was being shot, that's a minor inaccuracy that does not change at all the justification behind the shooting, because again, we're dealing with less than a second with the hindsight of being able to pause a video in HD clarity when it's at nighttime, 2:30 in the morning, and Anna's gonna act like, oh, see, they've been caught lying. They've been caught tripped up on their narrative, busted on the facts and the logic, and now they have to correct themselves. When again, this is the minorest of minor details, and the original statement as read by Ana Kasparian isn't even inaccurate, so I wouldn't correct this unless the statement actually said he had the gun in his hand at the exact moment he was shot, because it was a split second before when he ditched the gun. A split second.
So I just felt that it was important to share that detail with you in case you see any of this misinformation on social media.
Ana Kasparian is really concerned about misinformation on social media. She's incredibly concerned about it. She's shocked by misinformation. So she wants you to know that this marginal detail that is irrelevant to whether or not this shooting was justified is incorrect if you ever hear somebody misspeak. I mean, she's lying throughout the whole course of this video, and she's zeroing in on this as if this is the major misinformation.
He did not have a gun in his hand the moment that he was shot by the cops here.
Not CBS cropping the photo to hide the gun from your view, even though it is clear and obviously there less than a second before the shooting actually took place. But Ana Kasparian is focusing on the real misinformation, which is this quote that may or may not be inaccurate, and based on Ana Kasparian's reading, was not inaccurate.
Look, I reference sometimes movies and TV shows from the old days, just as a cultural landmark, right? And if you're old enough or you watch some of those old school ones, you remember in the movies and the TV shows, the cops used to say, freeze.
I'm gonna cut this short right here because Cenk is just gonna go on a rant about how when he watched TV shows, the cops, they used to say freeze because that's what they used to do and that was procedure. And Cenk gets all of his information from TV. Well, I used to watch a show called Bones, and there's this character played by David Boreanaz who also played Angel. Reference, tie-in, who knows? And in that show, he was like the best sniper rifle user ever, and he could actually shoot the gun out of people's hands. So based on my lived experience watching the police on television, I think the police should all be world-class elite snipers that could do things like that in order to take them alive. And the fact that that show is only a few years old, and now we see the police killing people who have guns in their hand, who draw them in a way that's threatening toward the officer, I think we care about life a lot less, because the police, they're just trained to kill everybody. They killed all these people. I mean, a lot of them were justified, and I'm wrong about all the details because my name is Cenk Uygur, but the TV is true. Everybody go watch TV, watch the things that the cops do on TV, watch the SWAT guys who are our main characters who don't even wear helmets on the raid, and you'll know that the cops need to be more like TV. That's really all I got for you guys today. This video is so aggravating, so frustrating, that even 3 weeks later, I had to make it for you, so I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments below what your thoughts are about this event and the Young Turks' amazingly terrible coverage of it. If you liked the video, like it. If you want to subscribe, you hit the subscribe button. Follow me on the social medias. They're linked in the description. Support me via the support links. This has been me. Till next time.